I thought people were mad at Donald Trump for his tariffs and stuff.
Making the entrance right now to a standing ovation, the 47th President of the United States of America, flanked by UFC CEO Dana.
Didn't seem like it last night at the UFC, where, of course, Donald Trump got a resounding standing ovation as the crowds chanted USA, as clearly Donald Trump is on a tear. All of this is still, there are some monumental challenges facing his way, specifically when it comes to American foreign policy. There was just a major move with our military made in Panama. All of this is peace negotiations have started with Iran in a very interesting way, as of course we are dealing with a political juggernaut that we have never seen in our time. This man is different. This man is something that, again, truly is a big anomaly here, as him being a part of these bigger cultural events speaks to the gravitas of the moment that we are all in politically and historically. As, of course, he wasn't just shucking it up with all the celebrities and all the fighters out there that were paying respects to him, especially after having major victories. But something else that I thought was very interesting that happened here is there's now reports of Facebook taking down and deleting that video that you just saw during the beginning of this particular broadcast, as we have to ask ourselves, is Facebook censorship back? Well, it still is. It never left, actually, as Mark Zuckerberg played a major role in helping China develop AI, according to whistleblowers that are coming forward and speaking out against him, and the levels of sinisterness that he was involved in with the Biden administration against Donald Trump truly is very eye-opening, as, of course, he wasn't there during the UFC when he usually is. Now, granted, he's probably really busy. He's a billionaire with huge mega yachts and mansions all over the world here. I did find it interesting that we see right here in the corner right behind Dana White here, Congressman Brian Daniels, which this is a very interesting message to Ron DeSantis, as of course this UFC was done in Miami, Florida. I got to step my game up to one day maybe attend this event. But Brian Daniels there, being there, is specifically significant, as of course there looks like there's going to be a big political fight between him and Ron DeSantis' wife, who wants to become the next governor of Florida. And Donald Trump coming to Florida and specifically showing Brian Daniels here, who is in the lead here, behind Elon Musk, behind RFK Jr., behind Kash Patel, behind Ted Cruz, does kind of, I believe, send a bigger message to the governor of Florida. Now, what's going on with Facebook, as I would argue, there's still a lot of online censorship. I've seen it myself. I think I've been affected by it myself, and I hope that's one of the things that Donald Trump actually takes a look at. As now we got a new report from the White House doctor saying that Trump is in excellent cognitive and physical health. I mean, Donald Trump is old. He is 78 years old. And the reason I described him as kind of a bigger political juggernaut is that before the UFC event and after the UFC event, this guy's still doing press conferences. Tell me there's some kind of secret sauce here. And I pray it's not in the aspartame-filled Diet Cokes that he drinks. I pray that it's not in the seed oil-filled McDonald's that he loves to eat. I pray that it's not in any of those things. But there's a secret sauce here that I think Donald Trump has tapped into, or some kind of new age medical type of tech that people are using in the healthcare industry. As, of course, what 78-year-old man do you know that literally is working the entire day? This guy pulled 3 all-nighters during the election and was still giving speeches, still talking to people. This is him at 2:15 a.m. in the morning.
It's like 2 in the morning when we're doing this. You people requested. I'm always available, unlike Biden. Think Biden would do an interview at 2 in the morning? He wouldn't do one at 9 in the morning.
How did you enjoy the fight?
I thought it was great. I thought they were all great. Have you ever seen that before? Have you ever witnessed that?
First time.
Something, right?
Yeah.
5.
Those are seriously tough people.
Yeah, absolutely. And the sport of the UFC has played a major role, cultural uh, impact on our society that we can't underplay here. As of course, the UFC was the first to kind of push back against lockdowns when everyone in the corporate media, all the scientific people were saying, "Oh no, they're horrible. They shouldn't open. They should keep the lockdowns." As of course, the UFC proved that no, the UFC doesn't muzzle their fighters. They allow them to actually have free speech, unlike the NBA, where you're only allowed to talk about the prescribed political talking points. You better support Black Lives Matter. You better get on those knees, and you better raise that fist. You can do that. Speak out against it. NBA is not going to like that at all here. Now, during this press conference, I found some interesting things that Donald Trump was talking about, specifically about foreign policy that I wanted to play here in this particular clip. Now, before playing that clip and extensively talking about the bigger geopolitical threats that Donald Trump is facing with Panama and Iran here, we wanted to tell you about LukeUnfiltered.com. There's been a lot of cool activity on LukeUnfiltered.com. As, of course, I've been doing my meditations now with you guys together. Look at that weird-looking face here as I explain, hey, this is what's going on in my life. Hey, this is what I've just learned. Hey, okay, now we're going to do a guided meditation. Do a guided meditation. A lot of people need it, don't even know it. And then also, on the opposite end of that particular spectrum, we're doing a range day, May 4th here in South Florida. So if you're interested in potentially doing some really fun, cool, advanced self-defense stuff, we posted that video for members too from the last one. And we had two great guys come out. I now consider them my friends here. We had a great learning environment here, and you guys could do that by signing up to LukeUnfiltered.com. Signing up is quick. It's easy. Click here. 20 cents a day. You get an email. Check your spam. Google has been sending our emails to spam. I don't know why, even though people are saying, yes, please give me the line, and they just don't get it. LukeUnfiltered.com. We need your support. As of course, this helps fund this operation and allows us to grow from here. Now, let's go back to Donald Trump here, as he was literally talking about this at 2 o'clock in the morning. I found the beginning bit kind of funny here. I'll just play the beginning bit because it's kind of hilarious that he said this to the reporters right to their face.
Hello, Kai. Good morning. You know the fake news? This is the fake news.
Hey, what's up, everyone? How are you guys? Good morning.
Do you have any
Hey, look, fake news.
concerns about the prison? People have said it has human rights abuses.
No, I think he's doing a fantastic job, and he's taking care of a lot of problems that we have that we really wouldn't be able to take care of from a cost standpoint. And he's been amazing. We have some very bad people in that prison, people that should have never been allowed into our country, people that murdered, drug dealers, some of the worst people on earth are in that prison. And
He's specifically talking about the president of El Salvador, Mr. Bukele, that he soon will be meeting in the White House with in just a few hours from now. As, of course, their relationship started off a little bit rocky, as during the campaign cycle, Donald Trump actually attacked the president of El Salvador for allegedly sending a lot of the criminals from his country to the United States. Bukele said, no, we're actually jailing them. We're actually tough on crime. Here's us being tough on crime, and actually reached out and was able to send that message in a way where now there's hardened criminals and illegal immigrants being sent from the United States to El Salvador, as the partnership between El Salvador and the United States definitely is now growing. As now there's even talks about sending Tesla domestic attackers to El Salvador, which I disagree with. I don't think that's a good move to make here. It hasn't been made. It's been floating around as all of this is happening, as we are still in the midst of a very interesting trade war between China and the United States. As the Daily Mail has a very interesting article that reads, "Secret Way China has been strangling Americans before Trump tariff and the crippling impact it has on you." Yep. China has been screwing over a lot of American businesses and enterprises, not just with intellectual IP theft, not just with bootlegging their products, but there's a lot of very important practices that were conducted by the Chinese that created a very unfair situation that previous administrations were aiding and abetting and allowing China to have a specific advantage over us that we were giving to them in a financial economic layup. Donald Trump kind of came in there and said, nope, no more. This is not going to be happening here. As now, very interestingly, we are seeing specifically with electric vehicles, China kind of stepped their game up and have better products than we do here in the United States. There's also conversations specifically about cell phones that are a lot more advanced as now, and I actually talked to a lot of people who are very familiar with China and live there, and I had a very interesting conversation with them saying, yeah, China originally did steal a lot of intellectual property, but guess what? Now they're innovating and building to the point where they don't have to because their intellectual property is better than ours. And there are some case in points to make for those particular instances, and there are particular examples of this. And it does seem like we are entering a very interesting time that I believe is a very key moment. As America still is the number one hegemonic power, China is a rising power. This creates the possibility of war. The United States needs to do really well. And if the United States doesn't do really well, that's the closer we get to war. That's the kind of explanation that we're getting here. As Trump also just offered up an olive branch to Apple, specifically announcing that, you know what, electronics and Apple computers, you know, we're just going to make you guys exempt here. Now, I don't know why Donald Trump did this, why he offered up olive branch to the iPhone company, but there probably were some very interesting kind of negotiations happening behind the scenes here. There's probably some kind of outreach being made by iPhone. And this is kind of a stunning U-turn that a lot of people are saying, wait, hold on here. What's going on here? As currently, the United States is now negotiating with allegedly 130 countries, according to the White House, negotiating new trade deals that would be mutually beneficial to everyone and making sure that the United States doesn't get screwed over. Other interesting negotiations that are happening right now are between the United States and Iran, as we're getting reports that the past talks this Saturday, Donald Trump literally is a part of like tough negotiations with Iran, and then he goes to the UFC and then keeps talking to the press till like 2:15 in the morning. That, again, juggernaut here. I do believe the major moves he's making in Iran aren't for America's favor. I think it's pretty clear that it's not for our favor here. It's in favor of another country that, for some reason, we're pulling out all the stops for under his administration, which again, a lot of people have been very critical of. And I think there is some respected criticism here that needs to be given here. But when it comes to these talks, they were very interesting because, you know, the United States is saying they were very constructive and they were, quote, face-to-face. Why are they saying that? Well, the negotiations are happening in Oman. The Iranians made it so the negotiations happen in the same building, but in two separate rooms. A lot of people are seeing this as a major kind of power move here. And the Iranians, instead of negotiating right away, came out and proposed a deal. They said, you know what? And this is kind of very smart on their part, because Donald Trump has hinted that during his first term as president of the United States, he tried to get a deal where there would be no nuclear weapons in the world. Okay, that's pretty big. That's something that, of course, would obviously cement him as one of the best political leaders of our time, easily. You get rid of all nuclear weapons in the world. You make all the countries put their firearms against each other down, and you usher in a new kind of day and era where we don't have to worry about nuclear apocalypse and us bombing and destroying each other. Yeah, that's great. That would be something that I think would be an amazing thing to achieve here. So the Iranians kind of came back to Donald Trump, and in the beginning of these negotiations, according to the reports here, said, you know what? Let's do this in a way where we get rid of all nuclear weapons. Listen, we'll get rid of nuclear weapons in all of the Middle East, which includes Israel. as now, there were very strong tensions. There's a significant military troop movement from the United States all around Iran right now. Iran's talking about, hey, we got to get rid of these strategic bombers. We got to bomb them first. And the United States is like, we'll bomb the crap out of you. It's a very tense situation. But now Iran coming to the negotiations table saying, you know what? Let's all put our guns down. Let's all get rid of our nuclear weapons. Let's all stop with this threat against each other. And to me, that's a great deal. That sounds awesome. No nuclear weapons in the Middle East at all. And we enforce that through third body organizations. I think that's awesome. I think that would be a step in the right direction and potentially would usher in more peace to a very unstable region. And what will the United States kind of counter back here with? As of course, these talks, again, were happening in two separate rooms in the same building. And then there's reports of after the negotiations, the two delegations kind of met each other in the hallway, and then they were very friendly to each other. And then they continued the talks there. And I think that's why we're seeing this kind of talk here, because the Iranians are looking like, look at us. Look at us being tough at negotiations. The United States is like, they were face-to-face. The Iranians like, no, they were closed door. They were both, actually. And we're seeing something here that I think is very interesting to watch unfold here. And we hope that there is some kind of consensus made here, some kind of peace deal made here. And luckily, we could move away from living on the edge of mutually assured destruction. All of this as Trump also moved a lot of troops to Panama recently, as he sent Pete Hegseth down to the region and now made a deal with the Panamanian president, who was previously, just a few weeks, opposed to the United States having any kind of military presence there. Now, the United States is sending a significant military presence to Panama. All of this as there have been tensions between China and the United States over who controls the Panama Canal. We heard news that Donald Trump announced that BlackRock was buying the Panama Canal. China's trying to block the sale of that, and allegedly they are really pissed that this is happening. China is investing very heavily in Latin America. They're building a lot of megaports. They're building a lot of infrastructure there, specifically in Peru. They built this huge megaport that, of course, now screws over the United States and the Los Angeles port that a lot of the international trade was previously going through, and now it will go through Peru. Now, what is going to be happening here in Panama? Well, that's going to be interesting, as the Panamanian Opposition Party is now accusing the United States of a camouflaged invasion. Although a lot of people are saying this actually is working pretty well out for the United States here, as we had Alex Barencoat describe the situation very similar to what he sees as Germany in the 1930s, just kind of walking into Austria and making a deal with them. As now the United States will have a very huge, significant presence in the Panama Canal, and it will allow American ships to, of course, go in and out of the Panama Canal without any kind of fees that they were previously charged with. And a lot of people are saying that this is a big kind of geopolitical move for the United States that, of course, regains control of the Panama Canal, but didn't have to do it through aggressive means, but did it in a way where they get still to use it, they still get to protect it, and their sphere of influence is still felt in that specific region there. As what will the Chinese do here? That's going to be interesting, to say the least. And how will this situation kind of unfold here, as now the negotiations have started between China and the United States here. Now, how do you think Trump is doing so far? Let me know down in the comment section below. Some of the things he's doing I think are really great. I think they're really awesome. Some of the things he's doing, and I'm like, why? This doesn't work in our favor. This is not good for us. Please, no, please, let's carefully hone in what actually helps out the American people. And in a way, he's accomplishing a lot of that. And how will he be judged? I think it's how a lot of these deals are going to be made. There's still the bigger situation of Ukraine, which is a big deal, as it looks like that deal is kind of kaput, and it looks like the Russians are soon going to be launching a major offensive in that region that will truly determine the outcome of that larger geopolitical proxy conflict between the East and the West here. Hopefully, we don't have a kind of clash of civilization moments. Hopefully, we don't have China, Iran, or Russia coming together and fighting off the United States. Hopefully, peace prevails here. If you hope for that as well, share this video. Again, hope doesn't really weigh much on today's political discourse. Sign up to LukeUnfiltered.com. Your support means a lot to us. We greatly appreciate all of you guys. And come out to the range day. It's a great way to get to know people. It's a great way to learn new skills and tactics that you have never, ever learned before, and some of the most advanced, really fun things that you will see is top-notch. We had 2 people that came there and described the situation last time. Watch that video. Stay tuned for more, all here exclusively on youtube.com/wearechange.